Sims Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him turn back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught. Denver. Unbelievable.
And welcome to the fourth down fiasco.
Hello and welcome back to Fourth Down Fiasco. Yes, this is Danny. I am back. I am alive. I have just been very, very busy with work. However, I am only joined today by Tanner. Say hello, Tanner.
Hello, hello.
Because Jordan decided to start teaching at a university. I don't know. He's a strange guy. But so he is out today. You only have two of us again for the third week in a row. But next week, we'll have more than three. It's going to be a fun one. But yeah, so rundown of today's episode, we're going to talk about the NFL, the little news that came out. We're not going to cover the preseason games because no one cares about preseason. And then we'll jump into week 13 and 14 of the ELF right before the playoff starts. And we have an interesting tiebreaker of playoff teams on our hands. But unless I missed something with that,
I don't think you did. Yeah. Good work, Daniel.
Whew, that was off script too. I didn't even have a script. It's off the top of the dome, baby. Take that, Jordan. But I guess the biggest NFL news we have that broke today, Sean Payton decided to announce rookie Bo Nix will be their starting quarterback for the 2024 season.
Which means the Broncos should at least be watchable. So that's good.
Yeah, I like Bo Nix. He was one of my top quarterbacks out of the draft this year. Somehow he went, what was it? He still went 14th overall, but was he 5th or 6th?
Was there 6 in this draft? I thought there was only 5. I mean, there was, Penix, Williams, Nix,
May,
Daniels, May, right? It's just those 5?
All right. And so Spencer Rattler was 6th, I think. Because it was like,
he didn't go until the 3rd round or something.
But yeah, it was like 5 in the first 14, and then Rattler went.
Oh, it was like the 5th round, actually.
Yeah, he went really late.
A lot later. Which makes sense. Rattler sucks. But
I think you sent it, but on draft night, we found a Reddit post of like 5th quarterback taken in the draft, and they were all like in like the 4th or 5th round, and he was taken like 12th overall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was the same thing that happened in 2018. That was the Rosen, Allen, Lamar, Darnold, Baker year.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
But no, I think he's a lot better than Stidham. At least
he's way better than Stidham. Yeah. Way better than Wilson. So.
Oh yeah. I love his accuracy. He doesn't have a lot of turnover-worthy plays, at least in the 14 years he went to college?
No, I think Bo Nix was one of my favorites in the draft. I think if I were to rank them, I think I would have gone, like, of those 5, I think I would have gone Williams at 1. I would have gone May, then Nix, then Jaden Williams, then Penix. I think is where my brain was going into the draft. And again, obviously I'm not a scout, so that doesn't really mean a ton, but I do really like Nix. Oh, there was JJ McCarthy. So there was 6.
Oh yeah.
We forgot about JJ McCarthy.
So,
yeah.
He was the 6th.
Yeah. I like JJ McCarthy the least, but
McCarthy.
I said it with the Broncos. It's been QB hell there. Oh, yeah. So I hope that Nix's career won't get ruined. But I think QBs are more of a product of their environment rather than their own individual talent a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how good Nix is going to do in such a bad situation, but I think he'll look better than Wilson and Stidham for sure.
Yeah, their offensive line improved a little bit, but he'll be able to at least avoid sacks more than old Russell Wilson. Give me like 2013 Russell Wilson, and he would have been fine on the Broncos last year.
Oh, absolutely. But that's not who we're dealing with.
No, yeah. But even if the next 4 years. Does top 15 have a player or team option for fifth year?
I think it's just if you're in the first round, you get a 5th-year option, right?
Is it player or team option though? I think
a player
it's a team
option.
Is it?
Or no, it's a team option. Yeah,
team
they
option.
can. They can sign the 5th-year player option, but it's the team that decides that.
Yeah. So I think after 4 or 5 years, even if the Broncos aren't winning, he'll get signed to it. Well, who knows what the contracts will be like in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, right.
But I think he'll still be a starting quarterback for another team at least in 5 years.
I hope so. It's just so hard to say. We've seen some QBs that were supposed to be pretty good coming out of the draft. I mean, Darnold and Rosen are like the big examples.
Yeah, but they went to really bad spots. At least the Broncos
I think
are.
Denver's a little bit better than the Jets and the Cardinals were when they went there, but I don't think they're like a lot better.
I think their
the receiver situation
will help him.
The defense will help a lot, but the receiver situation in Denver after losing Judy, and they're talking about trading Cortland Sutton.
We'll see at the trade deadline. If they're 1-11 at the trade deadline, he'll be gone.
Yeah, for sure. But that would be a really bad wide receiver situation. Like, there's not a lot going in Knicks' favor.
Who's their wide receiver too?
Behind Sutton, Tim Patrick maybe.
He's not. I thought he got hurt.
No, he's healthy this year, I believe. This is like the first year he's been healthy or the first time he's been healthy in like 2.5 years or something.
Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick. They signed Josh Reynolds. Honestly, he was pretty solid.
On
Josh the Rams last year, and then Marvin Mims Jr. is their fourth.
Okay.
But they have a decent tight end room though with Adam Troutman and Greg Dulcich.
Dulcich.
Yeah. Delicious or what? Deliciousness. No. So it's not like it's the worst wide receiver room.
Yeah, I just think
doable.
I think of where all the QBs went. I think Knicks arguably went to the worst situation. I would say maybe the Patriots situation is worse.
Oh, the Patriots is definitely worse.
But
especially they just cut Juju as well. Like, who else do they have now?
I mean, maybe the Commanders situation is also just as bad, but the Commanders did bring in a lot of free agents.
The Commanders still have, I forget who.
But I think the Patriots are the only one that are like definitively worse than the Broncos for the QB landing spots.
Ooh, actually, oh no, yeah. Commanders still have McLaurin, Terry McLaurin, and Dotson.
Yeah, so that's
and they brought in Luke McCaffrey. They drafted him.
Ooh,
so
we'll see.
No, but Brian Robinson Jr. and they signed Austin Eckler. So
yeah, I think it's better than Denver. But I think they're the only one else you could argue besides the Patriots. Being a worse spot.
You have Justin Jefferson. I guess their tight end room in Minnesota is pretty solid. But is Addison's ACL confirmed or no?
I don't know. I think it's.
I saw a thing about it, but I don't remember.
I can't remember either. Here we go. I'll read through this injury update real quick.
You do that, I'm going to find the Patriots wide receiver room to see how bad that is.
I mean, it's terrible. I can tell you that.
Their wide receiver one is Kendrick Bourne, who is currently out. Then they have Demario Douglas and Jalen Polk.
Yeah,
and then KJ Osborne.
Hey, KJ Osborne? He's not too bad. I kind of like KJ Osborne.
I forgot he left Minnesota.
I forgot he did too.
Then their tight end is questionable, Hunter Henry, and their backup, Austin Hooper, is also questionable.
Okay, so Addison will be back practicing the Wednesday of Giants week, but I don't know if the ankle is going to be 100%. In that moment, the type of ankle injury takes multiple weeks to truly recover from.
Gotcha. For some reason, I saw
it's
a
an
thing
ankle
about
injury.
it. Well, I saw that, but I saw another thing that his ACL might be torn. I don't know.
Right now, it seems like they're optimistic that he'll play in the first couple of weeks of the season. So,
well, that's good until he gets suspended.
Yeah. Oh shit.
But I feel so bad for Justin Fields that he spent 4 years in Chicago with no wide receivers, and then they went out and got like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, drafted Rome Odunze. It's like, are you serious?
I know. Yeah.
And picked up DeAndre Swift. Oh,
Dude, Chicago, like this is one of the best spots a rookie QB is going to get to go to.
yeah.
Like,
However, I have not been high on Caleb Williams.
yeah.
He did not score on the Bengals' second string defense, by the way.
I don't know, man. We'll see. It's just that is such a nice receiving core, man.
No,
Like,
I am jealous of that receiver core.
yeah. No, Chicago's going to be interesting this year. If they suck, then that's not a good sign. It's a lot of pressure for a rookie QB.
No, yeah. Other NFL news: Jared Mayo is confident in Drake May instead of Joe Milton. Gardner Minshew, starting Raiders quarterback, baby. We both love Gardner Minshew, don't we? You were a Mania man, right? Yeah. Once those cargo shorts or once those jean shorts hit, oof, game over.
Yeah. I do think he kind of sucks, but I do love him, like
he had like a good year, and then all of a sudden Urban Meyer came to Jacksonville and said, "We're gonna take Trevor Lawrence," and said, "See ya."
Yeah, it was one of those things. Jacksonville in those 2 years, I kind of hated everything they did. Because honestly, if I were GM, now it's hard to pass on Trevor Lawrence with how much of a prospect he was at the time.
I would not have passed on it.
I don't know. I think you could have traded back, and you could have kept Minshew, and you could have kept James Robinson instead of getting ETN. And
I like ETN. I don't like.
I like the thing is I like Lawrence and ETN more than Minshew and Robinson, like 100%. But I just don't think the Jags needed to take either of them. I think they could have been a much better spot if they would have gotten more assets with those two guys.
They should have pulled like a Oklahoma City Thunder and looked at the future and be like, we can't compete with Kansas City or the top teams in the NFL right now. Let's just get a bunch of picks and prepare for the future.
Exactly, because what you've had now is you've had this franchise QB that has just been in a terrible situation because you can't build anything around him. And it's like, well, why would you do that when the AFC is the most stacked it's probably ever been in its history?
I said it a billion times, but my entire life, the AFC was garbage. And then the one time the Bengals are good, we have like 14 playoff teams.
The AFC haven't been garbage your entire life.
Think
about the
not garbage,
the Colts, Steelers,
it hasn't
Patriots
been
years. Like those
many
were
good teams. Like you always had the Colts, Patriots, Steelers, but then like the bottom half of the AFC could have been open for a playoff spot. But now and every single team could be a playoff team. Well, not every single team, but more than like half the division or conference can be a playoff team now.
No, and when we go into when we start looking at these wins and things like that, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams who are going to say, "Oh yeah, no, they could get the 6th seed, they could get the 7th seed."
Anyone from the AFC North could make the playoffs.
And arguably 3 out of the 4 teams in the AFC East. I mean, you have 3 out of the 4 teams in the AFC South. You have half of the AFC West. It's dumb.
Yeah, like before, like you knew the Bengals could they made the playoffs a bunch with Andy Dalton. They weren't going anywhere. But like before Andy Dalton, we weren't making the playoffs.
No.
And you knew the Browns weren't either.
And now we live in the bad reality where the Browns can.
I know, it's so sad. I just saw an article. Is Justin Jefferson still a top-tier wide receiver with Sam Darnold?
For fantasy?
For fantasy, or just like top wide receiver in the NFL, like stat-wise?
He probably will be. I mean, who else is he going to throw the ball to?
That's true. Until Hawkinson comes back.
I think Justin Jefferson's going to do fine stat-wise. I think it'll be a little less than if he had like a, I don't want to say real QB and insult Darnold that bad, but a better QB.
Yeah.
But I think he's still going to put up over 1,000 and probably over 10 touchdowns and have a good year.
Oh, what happened with your Steelers at their preseason game? Why did Justin Fields and Russell Wilson just become garbage?
Because the city's cursed. I don't know.
That's fair.
Big Ben signed a pact with the devil, and now we're never going to see good QB play again. So I think that's really what happened.
That's fair.
Yeah, we'll get into the Steelers when we talk about them, but I know what to expect from this team. As soon as I watched that preseason game against the Bills, I was like, yeah, this is why I wasn't that optimistic. I was like, I've been burned too many times for me to think that Russell Wilson was going to regress back to 2013 Russ. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I knew what was coming.
Yeah. Want to talk about the AFC? Want to go over-unders?
Yeah, let's do it.
Over-unders for the season. We'll start with AFC North. We have the same document pulled up. This is a Fox Sports thing. So these over-unders, we started looking at them. A little weird already. That's okay. Baltimore Ravens over-under 10.5.
You want me to go first? Or you want to?
You can go for it.
All right. I think the Ravens are going to have an insane year. I think with Derrick Henry, and even though the AFC is a really tough division, I think you can make an argument that the Ravens are the most talented team in the AFC. I mean, their defense is, top tier. They have a top tier quarterback. They have a top tier running back, even if he is a little bit older. You have a top tier tight end. You have the best kicker in the NFL. I think the only thing that holds them back is they have a pretty weak receiving core. But if you're a run first offense, we've seen that work in the regular season. Whether or not it necessarily works in the postseason is a different question. But in the regular season, it for sure works and does really well. So I would take the over on the 10.5 wins. I think the Ravens are probably going to win 12 to 14 games, somewhere in that range. Again, we're going to see where it matters more in the playoffs because we haven't really seen that team do a lot in the playoffs yet. But I think in terms of regular season, I mean, the Ravens are going to look insanely dominant, and there's going to be Super Bowl aspirations for this year.
I mostly agree with you. I agree they're going to have over the 10.5. You put them at like 14 on your one thing you sent us, I think.
I think I put
or something 13. Like that. 13 still, yeah. But I could see. I don't see over 12. And this article actually points out a lot of stuff that I didn't pay attention to. I knew some stuff. Derrick Henry's getting old. Can he stay healthy for 17 games? Can Lamar Jackson stay healthy for a full season? But one thing I didn't realize, 3 starters from their offensive line left. Morgan Moses, Kevin Zeitler, and John Simpson are all gone.
And Zeitler's a big loss.
The 3 starters on any offensive line is huge.
Yeah.
And then also Patrick Queen, Ronald Darby, and
their DC.
Stone left.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We took Stone, you took Queen. I don't know where Darby went, and their DC left. So all of that change in a very tough AFC North. I don't know what the beginning of their season looks like. Like, I don't know if they have a lot of division games in the beginning, but it could hurt them in the standings of the division early.
Oh, it absolutely could.
Yeah.
I think this is a fair line looking at it more. Mm-hmm. Because it is such a brutal conference, and with roster turnover, it's always scary.
Yeah.
I do still lean more into they'll win, the 12 to 14 games than they'll win the 9 to 11 games range. But there is absolute reality. I mean, like you said, Lamar goes out with an ankle injury for 4 weeks. Henry misses like the last 4 weeks of the season. All of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like the Ravens are 9-5 with a couple more weeks left. Like, are they going to make the playoffs with 2 starters? And, something that could happen.
I mean, that goes for every team. Like, a lot of these teams we'll be talking about they could be picking from 20 to 32.
Yep.
Or if 2 people go down, they're picking top 10.
Yeah, picking top 10 for sure.
I will say I did not expect Patrick Everson, whoever picked the Ravens thing, picked them to go under 10.5 games and to miss the playoffs.
Yeah. Don't agree with that. I think that's
unless people get hurt.
Yep.
If everyone stays healthy, they're making the playoffs.
For sure.
All right, Cincinnati, same over and under, 10.5. You can go. I'll just read them off and you go, and then I'll rebuttal.
I'm also going to take the over, but instead of being in that like 12 to 14 range, I think I look at Cincinnati more as like a 10 to 12 range. Cincinnati's going to get a really favorable schedule because they were last place in the AFC North last year. Right?
Yeah, we have such an easy schedule. However, we did get screwed with scheduling. We play 3 teams coming off of a bye, 3 teams coming off of a mini bye, and then there was another 3 thing. Like, the layout of our schedule is absolutely brutal, but our strength of schedule is really easy. It was a weird thing. Yeah,
and I think just with the strength of schedule being lower, I could easily see this team winning 11 to 12 games. There's just, like, when I was going through and I was picking all of the games while I was bored at work, I was just looking at it. I'm like, man, these are just some like layups for the Bengals. I was these are.
I think before our bye week, we should go at minimum, like, I think we have a week 9 bye or something like that, or something. We should be like,
and I think
something in 1,
7-2 or 8-1, something like that.
And that's splitting, I think, like a Baltimore series already.
Yeah. So it's just such an easy schedule. I think they're going to be fine. Again, we're going to pretend injuries aren't going to be a thing. If Burrow's healthy, this team will play well.
Yeah, we'll pick all these with no injuries. We're not
with no injuries in mind.
Guess injuries, yeah.
Besides the injuries that have already occurred. It could get weird if Chase holds out, things like that. You could get some weird things going on, but I don't see the Bengals not paying Chase, and I don't see Chase not playing the majority of the season.
Even if Chase misses the first, we'll say, 5 weeks of the season, we'll still probably go 4-1 because we drafted that really good wide receiver from Alabama, and we still have Higgins, Irwin. We brought in Zach Moss. We still have a good wide receiver room, and we brought in, who's the Dolphins tight end that we brought in? Gesicki, which is an upgraded tight end position from what we had.
Definitely.
It would suck to lose Chase, but it's not end of the world.
I think Cincinnati's been on the decline since the Super Bowl berth. They've been struggling, but I think they will rebound this year. I think they will look good. They're definitely a team that I expect to see in the playoffs, them and Baltimore both coming out of the AFC North. I would be shocked if either of those teams don't make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Again, playoffs becomes a whole different story, but I really don't see the Bengals missing the playoffs.
No, I think if everyone stays healthy, I think at minimum we're making it to the championship game. Like, we can beat Buffalo. Buffalo can't win the playoffs. We beat Baltimore in the playoffs. I think I haven't looked fully into it, but my off the top championship pick for the AFC is Kansas City, Cincinnati. Last year would have been this. No, not last year. Before last year, the last 2 years was Kansas City, Cincinnati. And if we didn't lose Burrow for half the season, it probably would have been the same.
Yeah.
We had the team there.
No, and I'm not too different from you on there. I just have Baltimore. And
City, and it's a division game in the playoffs.
It's what could happen, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, screw it. You throw the Steelers and the Browns in the playoffs, and you haven't played Cincinnati or Baltimore, and something weird happens. That's just the way it goes.
Already the AFC North, and then add playoff implications. It's brutal.
Yeah.
But we should probably pick it up a little bit. We're already at 25 minutes.
Yeah,
that's okay. We'll get yelled at by Jordan.
It's all right. And then once we get through our division, it's going to be a lot easier. We'll be like, oh yeah, fucking Panthers, they suck.
At least we're in the same division.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes it easy.
Good thing Jordan isn't
here. Then we would talk 20 minutes about the fucking
Eagles
Cowboys
and Giants.
Eagles and Giants. Yeah.
All right. Cleveland Browns over under 8.5.
I'm gonna go under on the Browns. And the reason I'm gonna go under is I just think that Watson's gonna play the full season, and I think Watson's gonna suck. That's really the only thing that makes me say, like, Browns are not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be under 8.5 wins. It's just, he's just such a dog shit QB from what we've seen out of him. And I like that they brought Jameson as a backup, but there's no quarterback in the world that will find a way to lose you a game like Jameis Winston. You know,
That's true.
He'll go out there and find a weird way to win. But if you got Jameis as your starter, you're not doing better than 8 wins.
Even if you have Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, David Njoku on that offense.
Yeah, Jameis is going to go 400 for 4-4. You know, like he's going to find a way to lose you the game. And I think Deshaun is so cooked that even with a great offense, with a dominant defense, I think this team's going to struggle really heavily. Again, I've said it since they got rid of Baker. If Baker has been on this team for the last 3 years, you are talking about either a Super Bowl appearance or you're talking about multiple AFC championship appearances.
I don't know if Super Bowl, but championship appearance.
This team is very, like, the team is constructed really well. The defense is amazing. They have a lot of good pieces on offense.
Mm-hmm.
They just have such an anchor at QB. And when you have that much of a negative asset at the leader of your offense, you're hoping for just any sort of anything, you know, like you're just hoping, like,
no, yeah.
And if you're at that situation, I just don't see you winning more than, I put them in the 6 to 8 win range. Like, I think they're going to be somewhere there. I think they're going to be one of the first teams off of the playoff push.
Yeah. And their second half, they're almost 3/4 of the season. Starting at week 6 is brutal.
No, I think when I was picking their games, I think I had them ending at like 6 wins, and I think I had 4 of their wins coming before week 6.
Well, yeah,
like I think I had them going like 4-2, and then going like 2-10 or whatever for the rest of the season.
I'm looking. I'll read off their schedule real quick. They start at home against Dallas, then they go Jacksonville, New York, Vegas, Washington. That's their first 5 weeks.
Yeah,
and then from week 6, you go Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Chargers, bye week, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Miami, Baltimore. Awful. Those last 4 weeks, before even, like, just those last 4 weeks is already a brutal stretch. And then you have that, like, 8-week stretch before that.
Yeah.
Like, good luck. And I don't think Watson stays healthy before week 10.
I don't think he does either.
So good luck. I'm with you. Below 8.5. I could, 6-7 wins. And then your guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers, same over under 8.5.
I think if we're using logic, you go under, right? But the Pittsburgh,
it's 9 wins automatically.
The Pittsburgh Steelers don't adhere to logic. That's really just what this team is. I'm going to pick the over. They're going to win 9 to 10 games. I don't think they win any more than 10. I think if this team pulls off an 11-win season, Justin Fields must be the next MVP candidate, you know?
Well, I just found something out. Did you guys know you have the toughest schedule this year?
Yeah, no, I looked at it. We have a brutal schedule, but it's, like I said, this team doesn't adhere to logic. They'll win 9 to 10. They're either going to get the 7th seed or they're going to be the first team out, and we'll get a nice trip to, you know, Buffalo or Kansas City or Miami or Cincinnati, you know, any of those teams.
Maybe New York. You know, the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets could also be really good this season. I mean, if you're a Steelers fan, what you're hoping for is you somehow get 9 to 10 wins, get the 7 seed, and Baltimore, Cincinnati is the 2 seed, and then you somehow upset them in the playoffs.
Yeah. And
then you go and get your ass kicked by Kansas City in the divisional.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. I think the Steelers offense is going to be what it's looked like the last couple of years. I think it's going to be putrid. I think it's going to look like an Iowa offense. It's going to be unwatchable. And that defense is going to come out there. They're going to play probably triple the amount of the game that the offense has played. And they're going to play out of their goddamn mind. And they're going to win games. We're going to win because we scored defensive touchdowns. And that's just the MO of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what they've been doing for the last couple of years. They're going to keep doing it. And we're going to keep drafting between spot like 18 and 24 and never be able to, reset it and build the team back up.
Yeah.
And we're just going to be satisfied for that for as long as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Again, with the strength of schedule and all those things, they absolutely should go like 5 or 6 wins. They're just not going to. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it's just not going to happen. So I see a 9 or 10 win season for them. And I don't know if they'll get the playoff spot, but if they do get the playoff spot, it's 6 or 7, and it won't be any higher than that.
Yeah. I could see a random like prime Russell Wilson game where he throws for like 370, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, stupid.
Just a random and then
it's going to be against like Cincinnati too.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
And then next week it'll be like 4 picks.
Yeah, next week against the freaking Raiders.
Cleveland.
Yeah. We'll go play in Las Vegas. And
if it's against Cincinnati, honestly, you could throw 4 picks against Cleveland's defense.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is. And then we play each other week 18. But yeah. So that's the long version of the AFC North. Now we're going to give you the spark notes of every other division.
Oh, did you pick your over-under on Steelers?
I'm going under. I don't trust you guys. Mike Tomlin, I know you shouldn't pick against him, but I'm picking against him. So I'll probably go 6 wins. Sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize.
Cincinnati.
I already know what's going to happen. We're going to go 9-8 or 10-7, and we're going to get blown out in the wild card, or we won't make it. Like that's just what this team does. So,
yeah. All right, AFC South, Houston Texans over under 9.5.
That feels low.
Yeah, with the additions of Stephon Diggs and defensive end Danielle Hunter, and they went 10-7 last year with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I would take the over on that. I see Houston winning anywhere between like 10 to 12 games. I think they're going to win their division.
They should.
Yeah, they at least should.
They have a first place schedule, so they play Kansas City, Baltimore, Miami, Buffalo.
But even if you drop all 3 of those games,
they have
split with your. Like, let's say you drop all 3 of those games, you split with everybody in your division, which most likely won't happen. I don't really see.
They have a decently hard schedule, but they should be above 10 wins.
I think so, too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Above 10 wins. Colts, the return of Anthony Richardson, over under 8.5. Went 9-8 last year.
That 8.5 also seems kind of high for the Colts. I like the Colts this year. I like Anthony Richardson a lot, and I think they're going to do better than people expect them to. But like 8.5 is kind of high for that team. I think that team's apex is 9 wins. I don't really see them getting any more than 9.
No, yeah.
And with their apex being 9 wins, I have to take the under. Just because I expect them to be in that 7 to 9 range, and I think 7 or 8 is a lot more realistic than 9 is.
No, yeah, it's Colts secondary not good, and they played Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, and Tua in the first 5 of 7 games.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, unless Anthony Richardson can put up 45 points a game, because their defense is going to give up 45 points a game.
100%.
But their defense was also really weird last year. They didn't give up more than 20 points in the first 10 weeks or something like that?
I think they also played a lot of really bad offenses.
Oh, they did. But
in those weeks, I mean, one of them was the Steelers.
Yeah, but still, not giving up over 20 points for 10 weeks is crazy for any defense.
Yeah.
Jacksonville. Most of this whole division is 8.5 or close to 8.5 because it's a weird division. Jacksonville over under 8.5.
I think this is a perfect line for them. I expect them to win 8 or 9 games. Like, that's exactly where I have them pegged in my head. Like, Jacksonville is a shit show. I want to keep saying Lawrence will have his MVP season and will change the world. I just don't know if he can do it in Jacksonville. It just I don't know. And there's flashes of Lawrence being that guy in games where you're like, holy shit, like this is the generational talent they were talking about. And then there's other games where you're like, holy shit, like this guy can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I mean, I could see them winning 9 games. That's why it's hard to pick one way or the other. But I probably would just take the under to be safe again. Like I think 7 or 8 is probably a lot safer than them betting them getting 9.
I agree with you. This is a beautiful line, but I don't agree with you. I think they're getting 9 wins. I think they're going 9-8. So I'm taking.
I want to believe it, but I don't know. For some reason, I just think I think they play the Colts or the Titans in the last week of the season, and I could just see them sitting there at 8-8, and it's like, oh, if we win this game, you know, we can maybe sneak into a playoff spot, and then they just fucking lose. You know,
I don't think 10 wins might be like the bottom of the AFC playoffs.
I think
so. You might need 11.
I think you need 10 at the very least. I think you do need 10. I don't think 9's going to cut it.
9 is not going to cut it.
But I think with how difficult the AFC is, you could always see teams that are cannibalizing each other on wins, you know?
If no injuries happen, I think the minimum number of wins for a playoff is double digits. I don't see a 9-8 team making the playoffs this year.
I don't either, but it wouldn't shock me.
So the bottom half after the bye week for Jacksonville, they play Houston, Tennessee, Jets, Vegas, Tennessee, Colts.
Wow. Play pretty much their entire division
in this last 6 games.
Brutal.
They have a tough schedule, actually.
Yeah.
They start out, oh my goodness. They start out Miami, Cleveland, Buffalo, Houston. Holy cow.
I mean, yeah, they might just go 0-4 to start the season.
I'm changing mine back to under because I didn't realize how brutal their schedule is. Wow.
The AFC's tough, dude. I mean,
I hate it. I hate it. Anyone could win any game. Like they could go 12 wins or they could go 4 wins. Like they could beat Detroit, but they could also lose to Detroit.
Oh, easily.
They can beat the Jets. They could lose to it's a coin flip on all these games. Like there's not like it's not like the Jets versus the Panthers. Like, you know, the Jets are going to win.
No, in the AFC, it's a lot trickier. And no, like I said, I think that more likely they go 9 wins, but to be safe, I think it's probably better to shoot the under on that one.
Yeah. And another one we'll probably both go under on. Tennessee under 6.5. New head coach, Will Levis, the mayonnaise guy starting.
The sex tape guy as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man,
they did bring in quite a few people on their defense.
I talked about it in their off-season segments. I hated everything the Tennessee Titans did in free agency. I thought they should have just blown it up. I don't know why you signed Gabe Davis or Jeffrey Simmons or L'Jarius Sneed or anybody really.
Gabe Davis went to Jacksonville.
Oh, that's right, Gabe Davis. Who did they signed a receiver? I thought.
I don't know. It's not on the list. L'Jarius or Sneed. No, that's defense.
Sneed's the corner.
L'Jarius Sneed.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of Tony Pollard. They signed Tony Pollard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they paid Tony Pollard a bag. Sorry, that was also, I did hate that about the Jags. Oh, they signed Calvin Ridley from the Jags.
Oh,
that was it.
For a bag.
For a bag. I hated that. Yeah, so it was the Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, and Tony Pollard moves. I hated all 3 of those. It's like, you're not competing in the AFC right now.
No.
Just blow it up.
They did sign Tyler Boyd for $7 million.
Oh, really? Boydson?
That's a steal. It's because the Bengals OC is the new head coach at Tennessee, and no one wanted to sign Tyler Boyd.
I'm shocked.
He 1 year, $7 million.
Good for him.
Honestly, Tyler Boyd is a great slot receiver.
Oh, yeah.
He has the lowest drop percentage in NFL history or something like that. Very reliable.
Yeah. No, I with a brutal AFC, with a brutal schedule, I think they're trying to compete this year. I don't think they're going to be able to. I see this team winning 5 games.
No,
so
yeah, I agree.
The under.
But I will say, they did take their wide receiver room to Will Levis's strength, which is his arm. And they signed Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins, who can get down the field.
which is great in theory.
But you have to throw the ball 70 times a game, 50 yards each time, which you don't do in the NFL.
Doesn't happen.
No. But yeah, under with Tennessee. But hey, rebuild year, I guess. I don't know. All right, here's a fun one. AFC East. Buffalo Bills to start. 10.5.
That's a fun one to start on.
And
Buffalo.
they lost everybody and literally couldn't draft a first-round pick because of their cap room.
Yep. Yeah, Buffalo has really shit the bed the last couple of years.
Their wide receiver room is garbage.
Hey, don't disrespect Curtis Samuel. All right.
They have him listed as their wide
now.
receiver 3.
Who do they have at 1 and 2? I know Keon
Khalil
Coleman's
Shakir and Keon Coleman.
They got Khalil Shakir at number 1. Holy shit, that is desperate times. You got Khalil Shakir at number 1.
Are they just going to run a Kansas City offense and only throw to their tight ends? Run a 2 tight end
Dude,
set
they might.
with
They
a
might.
James Cook running back? Honestly, this offense could still be useful without wide receivers.
The same logic I applied to Baltimore is the same I'm going to apply to Buffalo. Buffalo's been a great regular season team. I mean, they've blown some games here and there that have been pretty embarrassing in the regular season, more so than Baltimore has. Josh Allen's just one of the top QBs. I think if you're a top QB on a team that's at least somewhat competent, I think you're just going to win more than 10 games. So I'm going to take the over on them. I think they're probably going to win 11, 12 games. I don't see them winning more than 12 games. I would be shocked if they won more than 12. But yeah, I don't know. I think barring any sort of injury or any sort of flukiness like that, I think the Buffalo offense is still going to click. I think Josh Allen's going to overperform in the regular season. I see them I still see them winning the AFC East.
Yeah, I don't trust Miami. I see him winning the AFC East at like 11 wins somehow.
Yeah, I can see that. I think like 10 to 12 wins is very.
Because I feel like Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets are all just going to split their series. Like, they're each going to win one. They'll both be sitting around that 10-11 win, and somehow Buffalo will have the tiebreaker like they did last year.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that happening too.
Yeah. But, all right, Miami over under 9.5. So I just gave my answer technically, I guess.
Yeah, 9.5 is low for the Dolphins, honestly, in my opinion. I just think Miami, I really don't trust Tua. I really don't. I would love to be higher on Tua than I am, but I'm just so low on Tua.
Me too. I'm not a big fan of Tua.
But I think that team is constructed well enough that I could see this team winning 10, 11 wins. I have to go the over. I really don't see them winning 8 or 9.
The one thing this thing pointed out, reading it is true. Miami last year did not play well in any game like under 50 degrees.
Yeah.
And they have in the second half of their schedule, they have away games in Buffalo, Green Bay, Cleveland, and New York against 3 could-be playoff teams.
No, I mean, I could absolutely see them losing all 4 of those games, but I think even if they lose all 4 of those games, I think they still probably find a way to get 10 or 11.
Yeah, I can see them sitting at 10.
Yeah. I think 10's the safer bet. Mm-hmm. I would bet on 10 and 7 over 11 and 6. Yeah. But
it's weird that like just that one is like
yeah, it seems like a little far-fetched, right?
Yeah. This is actually a pretty solid line. New England over under 4.5.
That is a great line.
That is actually great.
Because I think they're going to win 4 games.
They're favored in 1 game. Who could they even possibly be? Do they play Carolina?
They play Carolina.
Okay.
You know what's funny is when I was picking all these games one by one, that was one of the games I had Carolina winning.
Nice.
I had the Patriots beating the Jets. They do play Carolina.
I don't see it on their schedule. Cincinnati, Seattle, New York, San Fran, Miami, Houston, Jacksonville, New York, Tennessee, Chicago, LA, Miami, Indy, Arizona, Buffalo, LA, Buffalo.
Huh.
So they have to be favored against Arizona.
They must be favored against Arizona, which I don't believe that at all. I think Arizona's much better than the Patriots are.
No, yeah, because they have
I'm-
actually wide receiver.
I'm going to go under. I think this team wins. I don't think they win 1 or 2. I think they win 3 or 4, but I really don't see them winning 5.
Can we talk about their first 6 weeks real quick?
Yeah, what do they got?
They open away in Cincinnati, and the Bengals are in an alternate orange on orange, and we are 8-1 in the Burrow era in alternates, and the one loss was Jake Browning's first ever game. So when we're in an alternate, we're unbeatable. But still, rookie Drake May coming into Cincinnati week 1, then home against Seattle, which who knows what Seattle's going to do. Then you have to go to the Jets, go to San Francisco, and then you get to host Miami and Houston.
Brutal. That sucks.
Yeah. And then you still have Jacksonville, the Jets again, and then you get finally Tennessee week 9 at Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough year to be a Patriots fan.
I think they're 1 or 2 wins, to be honest.
I would say that. I just I don't know. I don't see it that bad for them.
I think they're going to go through 3 quarterbacks. I think they're going to go through May, Brissett, and Milton by the time the season ends.
I don't think so. I think they'll go.
Really?
I think they'll go Brissett, and then I think they'll go May in like the last 4 weeks. I think Brissett's going to take most of the damage this year and play most of the season.
You said Brissett's going to take the damage?
Aren't they starting Brissett?
I think they're starting May. They haven't announced, but what's their depth? No, not home. What's their depth chart say?
I'm pretty sure they're starting Brissett. I mean, if
Jacoby
they're
Brissett is their QB1 on their depth chart for the preseason games, but I don't know why you would take a quarterback 4th overall and not start him.
because your team sucks.
Yeah, but if you could if you're going to start Brissett anyways, might as well take Marvin Harrison Jr. and just draft a quarterback next year.
The thing is May's young.
So is what's Quinn Ewers from Texas, Carson Beck from Georgia.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine to have May sit a whole year.
No,
I
yeah.
really don't see an issue with it. And I think if you throw May out there in that team right now, holy shit,
he's gonna die.
Like, holy shit, is that a bad situation? You know?
If you throw Brissett out there, I think you're lucky to get 4 wins.
I think you are too. That's why I think I'm pretty solid with them being at like 3 or 4. But Brissett will find a way, to be careful enough to win you a game here and there,
Yeah. All right. And last one of the East, over under Jets 9.5.
I'm just gonna go over. I think I see the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins all being like 10 or 11 wins.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers is gonna look pretty good.
Yeah. They signed Mike Williams. If they can get Hassan Reddick on a contract, they'd have a really good front 7 with great defensive backs already. And they have an easy schedule because they sucked last year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's just finish off the AFC. We'll do NFC next week.
Yeah. Good idea.
Well, not next week, in 2 weeks, because next week is a fun episode.
There we go.
But all right, Broncos 5.5.
I'm gonna take the under on that.
I see him at 5, so yeah, under.
Yeah, I think they're gonna win like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. They're going to somehow lose to the Raiders like they usually do, though you lose to the Chiefs and probably lose to the Chargers. So there's 6 losses right there.
Yep.
Kansas City, highest over-under we had so far, 11.5, with the addition of Xavier Worthy, who I am so mad that they drafted.
Yeah, I don't know. If any team's ever gonna repeat or three-peat, it's gonna be the Chiefs. I see them winning like 13, 14 games.
Yeah, they won it last year with no wide receiver 1, and now you have a dude that runs a 4-2-2, and you're going to have to double cover him and then leave Travis Kelce across the middle, or what are you going to do? I don't know.
Yeah. Nope, I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go insane.
Yeah, their offense will be crazy. I don't think their defense will probably be middle of the pack, but that is what it is. Here's a weird one. Raiders 6.5.
I think 6.5 is a great line for the Raiders. But I don't know. The Raiders are just so far out in the AFC compared to everybody else that I would really be shocked to see this team win 7 or 8 games. I think just with the way the conference look, the way their division looks, I really don't see them winning any more than 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, Adams is probably gone through the season.
Oh,
I wouldn't be sure if Max Crosby's gone. I feel like they should just blow it up.
I think so too.
Especially with the division or the division they're in. You have Kansas City. No one's beating Kansas City.
You're not beating Kansas City.
But all right, last one for today. Chargers over under 8.5.
I think that's an extremely generous line for the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think that's an extremely generous line for the Chargers. I think the Chargers this year are gonna suck.
Yeah.
Like, I think Harbaugh is gonna be great to get people back on track and, you know, to make the Chargers somewhat exciting and to maybe help some of Justin Herbert's development. But I think this team is going to suck. Like, I would not be surprised to see the Chargers be bottom of their division this year.
No, yeah, I could see it.
I wouldn't bank on it. I think the Broncos will be bottom of their division, but I would not be shocked to see the Chargers there. So
hey.
I don't know. I think like 5 wins for the Chargers. That's kind of where I'm leaning at with them.
Yeah, definitely the under. They brought up that remember the Chargers lost 63-21 to the Raiders last year.
Yeah, yeah. I cannot believe that line is 8.5. That's insane.
That's just the Harbaugh effect.
Yeah.
But about a 63-21 beatdown. Let's take a quick break before we talk about the beatdowns in the ELF.
You're the proud owner of a business, and you've got it all. The hustle, the bustle, and the occasional office kitchen mishap that turns into an alarm-triggering emergency.
Whoa!
But fear not. Western States Fire Protection is here to turn your workplace into a disaster-free zone. Our in-house team handles everything from fire sprinklers to alarms, monitoring, inspections, extinguishers, and more. Visit WSFP.com to request a quote.
Are you looking for a podcast to advertise your business? Well, you're in luck. Here at the Fourth Down Fiasco, we're looking for show sponsors. Whether you want to be a platinum sponsor and be mentioned at the beginning and end of every episode, or you just want a simple 30 or 60-second ad, we got you covered. If you're interested in having a spot on our show, you can reach us at fourthdownfiasco@gmail.com. That's fourthdownfiasco@gmail.com. We are excited to hear from you and even more excited to have you on the show. Join the Fiasco family now.
Welcome back to Fourth Down Fiasco. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social medias. On X, it is fourthdown_pod. Instagram, it is Fourth Down Fiasco. And TikTok, which we don't ever use anymore, is also Fourth Down Fiasco. But let's hop into the ELF. It's winding down. It's almost over. There's only a couple weeks left. But week 13, some playoff implications on the line. One team came out on top of the other. But let me run through the scores of the game real quick. Paris Musketeers come from behind in the final minutes and then win in overtime 15-12 over the Madrid Bravos. The Raiders of Tyrol shut out the Milano Seamen 30-0. The Vikings follow suit, shutting out the Enthroners 46-0, capping a perfect season, the second in a row. The Ravens don't look as dominant as they did the last couple weeks, probably because the talent's a little better in Helvetic, but the Ravens still win 38-13. The Panthers and the quarterbackless Panthers win 54-19 over the disappointing Frankfurt Galaxy. The Stuttgart Surge basically had a bye week playing against Jordan's Barcelona Dragons. Stuttgart won 56-0. A lot better than last week when they gave up 90. The Cologne Centurions win a close one against Hamburg 30-23. And the Fire do what they do best and rely on Glenn Tunga to win 47-14. Yeah, that was a quick rundown of Week 14. Really only one game mattered this week.
Pretty much, yeah. It was just the first one, which was the Madrid-Paris game, which I did write a game recap of that one, so make sure to go check that on the American Football International.
Yeah. Did he post it?
He did.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, Madrid, it was a very rainy game. And everyone looked kind of bad.
Oh, yeah.
But Madrid had the chance to win to secure a playoff spot. But our boy Zachary Edwards, with a grown man run with, what was it, like a minute left in the fourth quarter? Not even?
Oh, no, it was with like 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
20 seconds of, what was a 15-yard rushing touchdown or something like that on fourth and 10?
Just straight up the middle, plowed through 3 defenders at the goal line.
Goodness.
It was a close game. It was very interesting for those last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. But if you watch the rest of that game, oh my God, was it terrible. It was just absolute slugfest. Nobody could move the ball. Madrid had some really nice shot plays on both of their touchdowns, which were great.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the Madrid offense looked awful. Couldn't do anything. Paris's offense was just completely atrocious to watch until that final 2 minute of overtime. And it was great seeing Paris being able to rally. I mean, also the kicking woes from both teams, just terrible special teams all around. But yeah, no, Paris definitely deserved the win over Madrid. I think, like we've talked about, they're the better team.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, it's going to be exciting to see what they do in the playoffs. So
yeah, so Paris has clinched a spot. Both teams came into this game controlling their own destiny.
Yep.
Now Madrid relies on a loss by someone else.
Yeah, so for the Musketeers next week, I think it's just if they win, they get the 4 seed, and if they lose, they get the 5 seed. So that's all that matters for them at this point. So it's between 4 or 5. So they definitely still want to win next week.
I'd rather have a game at home and with their crowd behind them.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah. But the Raiders, playoffs, maybe.
They're not clinched
guaranteed.
Yet. They do have to win next week.
They control their destiny against an evenly matched Munich team next week. But they handled business when they needed to against the Seamen. Like, it could have been a close game, could have been weird, who knows. But they played well. They won. Didn't even threat it.
It was one of those elf classics at this point from what we watched, where it seemed like the game was over by halftime, and it looked like, I mean, the Raiders were running the clock down in the third, and it's like, man, this team never stood a chance. 0
points were scored in the third quarter. It was 24-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
But, and then another game, Vienna Vikings clinched the number 1 seed throughout the play. Clinched home field throughout the playoffs, clinched number 1 seed, and secured their second undefeated season back-to-back.
Is the championship game, is it neutral field?
Yeah, it's hosted in Germany at one of the big stadiums. So yeah, they have a Super Bowl. They don't use one of the team stadiums as I said Super Bowl, but championship game. But they will host, if they make it to, they will host the championship, the semifinals game.
Sweet.
So they only need 2 wins in the playoffs to become champions. But it's crazy. This team has only lost 2 games in the regular season in their history.
And that is some dominance.
And the season they lost the 2 wins, or the 2 games, they won the championship.
So they got to start losing in the regular season.
Seriously. Or just avoid fumbling the ball at the 1-yard line in the semifinals last year.
Yeah.
Oops. Ben Home, Hashtag Ben VP, 317 yards and 4 touchdowns with his signature interception. He always needs it. He needs to figure out how to not to do that. But Reese Horn, current ELF wide receiver leader, probably will not be after this week because Markel Castle's like 14 yards behind him, and he has a game while Reese Horn doesn't. But still, went for 140 and 2. Great game by him. But other than that, this game, once again, over before halftime.
Before it really even started, to be honest. But.
Yeah. Everyone knew what was happening. That's okay. Ravens needed to win. Honestly, kind of struggled against the Helvetic defense. Their offense did. It was 0-0 at the fourth quarter. Only 10-0 at halftime. But the second half, once you tire out the defense, it was game over.
Yeah, I mean, Helvetic's the team that I think will be exciting eventually.
Next year, I think they should be pretty good.
I think so, too.
I'm sad
excited.
Aiken got hurt. Like,
I am too.
They weren't going to win, but I wish I would have seen him with him.
But they could have played spoiler. I mean, like, especially in a game like this.
Yeah.
You know, you go 10. Who knows if Aiken's there, if it's 10-0 at half, you know?
With Aiken, it's not 10-0 at halftime. He'll
Yeah.
find his way into the end zone one way or another.
Yeah, like I don't know. We could be talking about this being a great upset and ruining Munich's playoff chances. But
yeah.
Unfortunately, injuries happen, you know.
Offensive Rookie of the Year debate player Milan Spiller needs 73 yards to reach 1,000 yards. Will we get that next week? Who knows? I would honestly just force feed him. I'd do it.
Oh, yeah.
First rookie to get 1,000 yards? Do it.
I hope they do. I mean, that would be really sweet.
Something I don't know if I've ever seen in a game. Time possession, perfectly split. Right down the middle.
Is that true?
I have no clue.
I mean...
But they have all the other stats in there.
I'm hoping that's correct. Because if that's correct,
crazy.
that's insane.
I love it. I'm believing it.
We've been burned by sports metrics, so I'm not going to trust them too much.
That's true. But, all right, Panthers, Frankfurt. Frankfurt is just disappointing. They put in a backup, Mac. I don't even know who that dude is, but he popped off 271 yards. But
I don't know. I can't believe Frankfurt is as bad as they are.
They were supposed to be in like championship conversations.
They've just been ass.
Yeah.
Markel Castle has been great though.
Yeah, he was the Triple Crown winner last year, but he had 212 yards. But this Panthers offense, they should have done it the whole year. Just got rid of their quarterback week 1 and rolled with Norwood. 13 attempts for 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and then 96 on the ground himself with 1. And then Brzezowski, 28 attempts for 130 with 2 touchdowns.
This is another team like we talked about with Helvetic. I think the Panthers are going to be very exciting next year.
I wish we would have seen a whole Sam Duncan Panther season, to be honest.
I do too. I think it would have been really good. But I'm also glad we didn't because I think the Bravos would have been terrible.
What's his name? If the quarterback didn't get hurt, he would have been probably better than Duncan.
Oh, I agree, but I don't think there would have been a better option than Duncan.
Oh no. Well, if the Madrid scout saw Epler,
yeah,
they could have picked up Epler. But no, this Panthers offense is weird, but I love it. They're dropping so many points with a running back at quarterback. Or I don't even know if he's a running back.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
It's great. What have they done the last couple weeks? They've had to score like 150 points the last 3 weeks, right?
Something like that. I can try to look.
If it loads for me. Yeah, they've scored 62, 34, and 54 the last 3 weeks.
That's ridiculous.
That's so funny. After getting shut out by Stuttgart, then they're like, let's go drop 62 and 54.
Had to figure about themselves.
And about Stuttgart dropping 56, we don't need to talk about the game. RIP Barcelona. Yeah. Hopefully you figure it out by next year or The ELF
Hopefully you're around for next year,
Yeah.
We'll
Another
see.
fun game that meant absolutely nothing. The Centurions versus the Sea Devils. Legalize it, baby. 310, 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
Same situation we talked about with Helvetic and the Panthers. I'm excited to see Cologne next year.
Me too. Isaiah Weed looking like his own with their new head coach. Lamar Jackson-esque. 137 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Just saying. And they'll have their 2 starting running backs back next year as well, hopefully. But yes, Hamburg, same thing. I don't know what happened to them. They're supposed to be all right.
They just haven't been.
Yeah.
They've struggled really heavily this year.
They need to do something by next year to be relevant again. But they shouldn't be 2-9. Even in the Western Conference, you shouldn't be 2-9.
Yeah, you would think they would steal a game off somebody, and they just haven't been able to.
But their defense has given up 410 points. Their offense has scored 213. Yeah. Can't do anything. But someone that can do something is Glenn Tuga, who, unless people forget he exists for the MVP race, should have it locked down. 144 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think that puts them at 30 on the year, or 32 or something like that.
Yeah, he's unreal.
Yeah. And he had a 3-yard pass.
Good for him.
Quarterback.
Yeah, Ryan's the team to beat. I mean, I know that I know Stuttgart had a better record than them the entire year before they lost that game to Tyrol. And I know Vienna's had a better record than them all year. I think Ryan's still the best team.
I wish we could see Vienna against a good team in the regular season where it wasn't a one and done deal.
I know. Yeah.
Like,
it would have been interesting to see.
I wish we could have seen Vienna against Paris or Madrid or Munich before the playoffs.
Well, in the playoffs, you're definitely playing a good team.
No, yeah.
You're going to be playing, Ryan, Stuttgart, Paris.
Yeah,
so
they'll be rested and healthy because they've played one game in 4 weeks. They'll play one game in 4 weeks because they had a bye week last week. They have a bye week coming up, and then they'll have the first round bye of the playoffs.
That's another thing. I love that they do 2 byes. You cannot do a bye week 14.
No. Yeah.
It is such an insane advantage for a playoff team.
Well, yeah. Well, their head coach, I texted you this. They released the initial schedule to the teams, and they had the Vienna Vikings week 1 bye. And the coach was like, "Are you serious? Like, we're one of the best teams in the league, and you don't want to put us week 1?"
Mm-hmm.
So the ELF went back, adjusted the schedule, and said, "All right, here's week 12 and 14." And he's like, "So now I have to play a full season of games before we get a bye week?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I couldn't complain again." He's like, "I got us out of week 1." He's like,
no, that was the big thing I was upset about with Madrid had that week 1 bye. And I was like, "Oh, wow."
Expansion team.
But I was also still like, don't you want the expansion team to be playing week 1?
You'd think.
Yeah,
they had a week 1 and week 4 bye?
Yeah, they had the opposite problem of Vienna, where they had their bye super early on, and then they had to play a full season. And if they make the playoffs, they haven't had rest in a long time.
Yeah. But can we talk Berlin Thunder, another very disappointing team from what they should have been on paper. You have Jacob Sullivan, leading passer, Aaron Jackson, one of the best utility guys, wide receivers in the ELF,
wide receiver number
receiving yards.
He has 6 less receiving yards than Reese Horn.
Yeah. Markel Castle should take them both over because they both have a week 14 bye, Vienna and Berlin.
Myron's top 3 in tackles. I mean, this is a team that's supposed you look at all these stats, man, Berlin is good, But
and they've scored more points than they've lost. They've given up
unfortunate season. A lot of unfortunate seasons for a lot of the German teams.
Yeah,
Berlin, Hamburg, Frankfurt, Cologne.
Well, when half the league's German, so
yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
But the thing is, they didn't have a tough schedule. They just lost every hard game.
Yeah, no, they did.
They lost week 1 against the Panthers, and then they lost both to Vienna. They had to play the Fire twice, which did not help them.
Yeah,
lost both to the Fire, and then lost both against Paris.
That feels really bad that Berlin has to play the Fire twice despite being in the East.
And
Like
Paris.
they're in the weakest conference and they get Rhine and Paris. Like, come on now. But you couldn't give any of those to Vienna? They're like, hey, let's have Berlin play Rhine twice, but let's not have Vienna play Rhine.
Vienna had to play. Well, they had to play the Raiders as their out of conference game, and the Mercenaries.
But the Raiders that's like a lock, you know. Like, of course they're gonna play the Raiders. They're rivals, you know.
No, yeah, they have to keep the Battle of Austria.
Yeah, but like you could have at least given them a Berlin, or sorry, you could have given, you know, Vienna. You could have given them a Stuttgart or a Munich or a Rhine or a Paris. Like any of those, they should have at least played once in the regular season.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not on Vienna. That's just on the Elf for scheduling, you know.
Making that schedule. But yeah, we could talk about what ifs for this league for a long time.
Definitely. All right, do we want to run through next week real quick and pick our games?
Yeah. Week 14. All right. Cologne Fair Bar. Legalize it, baby.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm excited for Cologne next year. They should finish the season 6-6.
No, like I said, I'm excited to see what they do next year. I think it could be interesting. I hope they bring in some better players, can compete in their division, and it would be fun to see them do well because I think they had a great second half of their season.
Yeah, I would not be surprised though if the ELF realigns divisions.
I think they should.
Well, especially if they bring in a Nordic team, they kind of have to.
Yeah, we can get into it. I think we should get into a different time just because we're running long, but I think there's much better ways to realign the divisions than they have.
You have to have Barcelona and Madrid in the same conference, and you have to have Vienna and Tyrol in the same conference. But
absolutely.
Maybe we'll talk about it next week. First international game for the ELF, which all games are international for us, but a game hosted in Croatia, Madrid versus Hamburg. Madrid wins, and they might be in the playoffs.
Yeah, Madrid's a much better team than Hamburg, so I think Madrid's going to win.
Madrid
should win. Sweet that the team I picked is playing in Croatia. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. You went from having the Panthers as the closest Croatia team, and then now you have the team that you picked to play in Croatia.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be. I don't know if they're trying to get a team in Croatia. That'd be sweet.
I don't think so. It's too. I don't think they have developed football enough there.
I don't think
they have football. I don't think it's
either.
Developed enough.
Yeah. It'd be cool though. I would absolutely refer a Croatian team. I could actually get my pap to watch it. You know.
That's true.
I get really drunk. I had to channel my inner Croatian, start drinking Slišovic, and have a good time. You know.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it'll be sweet. I'm glad they're playing in Croatia. That's cool.
Should be a fun game.
Hopefully. I don't know. Hamburg's been kind of bad this year.
That's true. Good for if you're a Madrid fan.
Yeah.
But Stuttgart versus Helvetic. I think it's the return of Aiken for 1 week. Unless they just keep him out.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome if Aiken has the game of his career. But I think Stuttgart's going to win.
Stuttgart's fighting for that number 2 seed.
They don't want to lose this one.
No, they need to win because they have a, what is that, 7? Oh, they have a 28-point advantage over the Fire. But we've seen the Fire drop 60-plus multiple times.
Yeah.
So the Stuttgart's going out to score. But all I care about in this game is Spiller getting that 1,000 yards. Against a very tough Stuttgart.
Hey, if Aiken's starting, he'll get it.
Oh, yeah. Aiken will force feed him the ball. And I feel like the other quarterback will too. But here's what we've been waiting for. All season long. The epitome of the ELF. The Barcelona Dragons versus the Milano Seamen.
Dude, trust me. I
Somehow,
hate Milano. I
somehow
can't
the
stand him.
two worst teams in the ELF have a better record than the Helvetic Mercenaries.
Or Prague and Farivar. Like, both of these teams, I genuinely think are worse than all the rest of them.
And
I
Hamburg.
can't stand them. I can't stand them. Yeah, Hamburg's way better than both these. I think you put Hamburg against these teams, I think Hamburg blows them out of the water.
Yeah. But you go Milano or Barcelona, baby?
I'm going Milano, 100%. I can't stand Milano. I think they're fucking terrible. I think they're unwatchable.
Yeah.
There's nothing I like about Milano, but God, I mean, Barcelona's. I would not be shocked if Barcelona's stadium catches on fire during. I guess they're playing in Milano, so they can't. But
yeah,
I don't know.
This is gonna be a bad game.
Barcelona's
it's gonna be like,
just
It's gonna be like a 5-3 final score.
No, it'll be one of those just really bad. Like, it's gonna be like a bad game with bad offense, but it's gonna look like a normal score line. You know, it's gonna be like 24-17 or something stupid.
Right. Fair enough. Paris, Frankfurt. Frankfurt hasn't looked horrible.
They haven't,
but
I really don't see Paris losing this one.
Paris is gonna. I say bounce back game, even though they won, but Paris is gonna have a bounce back game. Zach Edwards is, gonna run for 100 and throw for 300.
And they need a win. They need the home field advantage.
So. If they win, they get home field. Another pointless game that means nothing for the playoffs. Panthers, Prague.
Panthers will win.
Panthers dropping 60, baby.
Yep.
And then the most important
game of the
game
week
for your team and for the playoff implications of the ELF, the Raider Tyrol at the Munich Ravens.
I'm gonna take Munich.
I think whoever's at home wins. And
I think that's exactly why I'm picking Munich. I think with it being at Munich, with how close it was the last time, with Tyrol barely winning. Tyrol needed 4 fourth-down conversions on a 2-minute drill.
An absurd catch to win that game.
They needed so much, and I think Munich's just going to correct it, and I think they're going to win it this time.
Yeah, and Munich's offense has been on a roll with Malik Stanley coming in. And Chad Jeffries is catching fire at the right time. They've put up a lot of points the last couple weeks. And I mean a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Since week 7, they've almost scored 50 every time. One time they dropped 90, but that was against Barcelona. But if Madrid wins and the Raiders lose, I believe Madrid is in the playoffs.
Yes, from at least what I've read.
From what we've understood, Madrid wins, Raiders lose, playoffs go to Madrid. But if not, and it needs point differential, Madrid has to score 10 more points than the Raiders do. And the Raiders need to lose. So if I'm Madrid, I am running up this score against Hamburg.
I think so too. I mean, that's just what you have to do.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. I think Munich's going to win. They should have won the other week. Like, this shouldn't be a playoff implication game. It should be a Madrid win and they're in. But with the craziness of what happened in Tyrol,
who knows? Yeah.
Football. But since it was just Tanner and I, we always go very long because we don't have Jordan here to yell at us.
Every time.
Every time. Can't wait to get a text from Jordan and be like, "What the hell did you guys do?"
It's not 2 hours, right? We kept it under 2.
No, yeah, I think it's like just over an hour and a half.
Ah, dude, we're fine. I think Jordan and I's the last 2 weeks have been kind of long.
Yeah, we've been averaging like an hour and a half, except for those weird like short episodes we had a couple weeks ago. But stay tuned for next week.
It's going to be a good one.
Because we should have a good one. We might have an announcement. We were supposed to have an announcement this week, but we missed something. Oops. Way to go, Jordan.
That's the way it goes, you know.
Yeah, it happens. It's better to announce it next week, anyways, if all that works out, because that should be great.
Yep.
But if you made it this far, Tanner, do you have any other final words before we send it off?
I do not, but thank you so much for listening to the Fourth Down Fiasco. Please rate us 5 stars. Please, 5 stars every single time. Well, I guess you can't do it every single time, but if you haven't done it, do it. What are you not doing it for?
It's free.
Yeah, it's free. You don't have to do anything for it. Just press the button. That's that simple. And then always, of course, we love to hear where people are from. And you know what we always say, if you're from Europe, tell us what country you're listening from. But also if you're from the US, tell us what state you're listening from.
Yeah.
You know? See how diverse we can get.
Yeah, now that we're getting back into the NFL, we should get the US audience back into it.
Exactly. But yes, we love you very much. Thank you for listening. Hugs and kisses from the entire team.
And on that note, goodbye.
Well, I like school, and I like football, and I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.